Yo, welcome to Tiger Talk with Shaq, man. I'm so excited to be back, man. Listen, it's a pleasure to be alive, man. We're going to get right into it, man. But listen, before we do, let's thank the people who made it possible for us to stream, man. Let's thank Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, man. We appreciate y'all. If you're trying to find me on the Meta, man, it's Coach Shaq Bryant at Instagram and Twitter. Also, check out the webpage, man. We've done a lot of remodeling, man, done a lot of video updates, man, and it's currently recycling, man. So check that out. Tiger Talk with Shaq.me, Tiger Talk with Shaq.me. Man, we appreciate you, man. Listen, we're going to get right into it, man. Before we do, man, let's talk about the squad, man. The aces that always stream, that always support, man. Y'all already know who y'all are, man. Let's go. Imagine this. Imagine if you were driving down the road with your family, man, with your wife, 1-year-old son, 4-year-old daughter, and you driving and somebody going slow in the fast lane. You ride up on them a little bit. You know how we do. And then all of a sudden they brake check you. You back off. You go to get off the exit. They go get off the exit. You're still in front of you. They brake check you again, but this time they come to a complete stop. The guy pops out of the vehicle. The other guy pops out of the vehicle. I guess they're going to exchange words, but there was no words exchanged. The guy that was in the front turned around and hit the guy with 8 shots, left the guy dead in front of his family. That is an awful way to die, especially off of road rage. Man, we got to be a little careful. So when the police asked the lady, did you know it was coming? Like, did you know what was going to happen? She said, no, I thought they were just going to talk it out, exchange some words and that's it. Next thing you know, he's shooting my husband down right in front of his kids. That's crazy, man. We hope they catch that individual, man, because nobody deserves to die like that, especially in front of the people that he did die in front of, man. That is not a good look. The wild part about the whole thing is that he didn't even see it coming. He just thought he was exchanging words. His wife thought he was exchanging words, but that was different. It was no exchange words there. It was basically out for revenge. It's basically out to show or teach him a lesson. But the thing in this case is that you have a dad that's gone, you have a husband that's gone, and then this person that pulled the trigger, man, when they catch him, he's gonna have to think about that for some years, man, and re go over that. You know what I'm saying? And in the act of the moment, man, emotions tell you, man, to do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, you have to look at it, man. There's nothing worth taking somebody's life over, man, unless your life is threatened. And that man didn't even know it was coming. But imagine the people who did know it's coming. Switching right along, Buddy Holly, he died at 22 years old. He and his wife actually dreamt the same dream the day before. He felt like he was going to die on the plane. His wife dreamed about fireballs and him dying. Buddy Holly actually told Richie Valens that they should take another plane. Richie Valens always thought he would die in the plane. They take the little aircraft. Buddy Holly and Richie Valens dies in that same plane crash. You talk about a prophetic or prophecy. You see 2 signs. Somebody else see a sign. Y'all still take the plane. It's bad weather, and you wind up dying there. These are a couple people that you might know that saw it coming, that predicted their own death. Frank Pastore, he was the youngest pitcher ever in Major League Baseball. He got drafted right out of high school at 17. He was playing in the major leagues at 19. He gave his life to Christ and became a full-time Christian. And he was on a show and he was talking about his motorcycle, how he's likely to die on a motorcycle getting hit because people were driving reckless. He gets hit that same day, stays in the coma for like 6 months, and then he dies. But he said that same day, I'll probably die on the interstate. Pistol Pete, everybody know Pistol Pete Maravich. He played with 3 different teams, man. He was the best dribbler, best playmaker in basketball at that time. Well, he had a heart condition that he didn't know about. And so he was interviewed one time and he said, well, I hope I don't play basketball in the NBA for 10 years and then wind up dying right after that. Well, that's exactly what happened to him. He said, he spoke the words that gave him his demise. He played in the basketball league, NBA, for 10 years. And after he stopped, he was at a church and they wound up playing pickup basketball. And he died right there on the court. We have to be careful what we say out our mouths. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. It says that in the Bible. And so we got to really be careful what we say, because we could be presenting that or could be determining our fate based off of what we say out our mouth. Words have power, whether we believe it or not. And we see this all the time, man. When people just talk reckless, man, I'm going to do this, man, I'm going to do that, I'm going to kill this, do whatever. We say something out of our mouth, and then all of a sudden we can't take it back, and it's in the air. Once it's in the air, well, then you got to be responsible for what's said, because you already released it in the atmosphere. Bob Marley said that he would die at 36. Well, it was an assassination attempt on his life, maybe about at age 32, something like that. And then he's wound up saying it, that I'll die at the age of 36. Bob Marley did die at the age of 36. There's many things that said about how he died, but the final determination was that he died of cancer, some rare form of skin cancer, but he died at 36, just like he said. And the last one is somebody we know all too well, Tupac Shakur. God rest him. And God rest all of these people that we're talking about. But Tupac Shakur, he said in the song that he'll be shot, murdered, and they won't know who did it. And then, of course, we know he joins up with the Blood Gang, M.O.B., with Suge Knight and all of them. And then he wind up going out to Vegas. They get into a fight. Some dude named Keefy D or whatever. Not too sure on all the details, but as we know, he hops in the car with Suge after that. Somebody pulls up. They mow him down. They never catch the dude. And the guy that they did get for the crime, they were never getting enough evidence to where they can convict him. But they said that man went back to the neighborhood and was bragging on it. The key matter of this segment is be careful what you speak out your mouth, because once you say it, it's releasing the atmosphere, and power, the life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so we can speak great things on our life, and those things can happen. We speak bad things on our life, and those things can happen. We've talked in a podcast segment before about speaking things into existence, about speaking things out of your mouth, about the power of prayer being real. And you have to remember that if you think that you're terrible, you are terrible. If you think that you're great, you are great. If you think that you're not worthy, you aren't worthy. If you think that you need help, you do need help. Whatever you speak out your mouth, that's what your body's going to follow. So just be careful, man. Shout out to all of those people, man. We are greatly, deeply saddened by their loss. And there's nothing that we could ever get back, or there's nothing that can ever be done to reverse that. So make sure you keep those family in your prayers. They're probably still grieving. Weight loss tips of the day, motivation. All of this is wrapped into one segment. And we're going to take our time and we're going to dissect it a little bit, because it's a lot to be talked about here. And so we are going to give our hats off, and we're going to talk about some of these things that all wrap into this whole segment. Dedication. Let's talk about it as it applies to weight loss, though. Dedication. Dedication is your ability to stick with something. Dedication, the cousin of that, is discipline. Your dedication is as much as you're involved in what you believe in. Your discipline is the act of carrying out those things. So you have dedication where you signed up for something. I'm playing baseball. All right, well, I'm going to give my everything to this team. I'm going to practice hard. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do all of that. Now, what do you do when it gets hard? What do you do when it gets tough? Do you stop? If you get tired, do you stop? Or do you remember what you said in the beginning, that you're going to do everything you can to make sure that you complete that task or that goal? So once that discipline falls into place, then now you have to continue to do it, regardless if you're tired, regardless if you're hurt, regardless if you're sick, regardless if you don't feel like doing it, man, because your dedication is already said that you're going to do this. And once you put your mind to something, your word is your bond, like we talk about. Once you put your mind on something, once you fix something in your head, guess what? You got to go with it. There's no turning back. There's no looking back. So just like with the diet, if you say you're going to lose weight, you say you got discipline, you say you're dedicated. So with the dedication, you have to understand that if I'm dedicated to something, then I'm going to put my whole heart into it, man. I'm going to make my meals before I leave for work. I'm going to make sure I do everything that I said I was going to do. I'm going to do my cardio like we talked about. I'm going to make sure I stay with my strict diet. But what happens that day when you miss and you go off and basically you eat some pizza? or you deviate from what you said. Your discipline has to get you back on track. Your discipline is the one that said, you know what, I'm not going to indulge in this because I need to make a change in my life. And if you really need to make a change in your life, you can't see anything but that. You have to see the end goal. See, the problem is that we don't understand the process versus the product. See, the process is what you're actually going through. That's the time you commit to something. That's the blood, that's the sweat, that's the tears, that's the heartbreak that you go through. That's everything wrapped up into one to where you get to the finished product. Now, a lot of people in my profession, Coach Shaq, it is. Coach Shaq, you're great. Coach Shaq, I appreciate what you do with my son. Coach Shaq, thank you for all the time you gave him. Thank Coach Shaq, Coach Shaq, Coach Shaq. You know, these are the things I hear, but nobody understands my story. And my story is a long story. I'm actually writing a book. But the story is deeper than that. You know, Coach Shaq saw his first murder when he was 8 years old, saw his second murder when he was 9 years old. Replayed that in my head. Understand that those people, they shouldn't have died for something senseless. Just like the thing we were talking about with the guy in the car on a highway that was killed in front of his family. You know, those things should not happen. Especially an 8-year-old and a 9-year-old should not see those things. So once I saw those things, I had sympathy and empathy for anybody who was less fortunate. So when I started my coaching career, I started my coaching career in the inner city. You talking about Atlanta, Bowen Homes, Hollywood Court, projects, stuff like that. Kids that really needed me, you know, and so I had a heart to love them, to care for them. You know, one of them's playing in the NFL right now. 7 of those kids actually made it to get D1 scholarships out of the hood. You know, so when you look at stuff like that in your life, you actually see the process of the finished product. And God's not done with none of us yet. God's not done with me yet. And so everything that you go through, you have to consider that a blessing because God is perfecting you and he's changing you into who you're supposed to be. We all go through things in life and we all are shaped by those things unless we sit in a comfortable place and we never try to stretch to get better. See, the thing is that when I was first coaching and when I was first teaching, I was so scared and timid in the classroom, didn't know if I belonged. I was scared to read in front of people. When I first started this podcast, I was a little nervous. But it's when you get into getting outside of your skin, you get comfortable in who you are and who you're supposed to be. That's God perfecting you and molding you into the person you're supposed to be. So listen, so appreciate the process. Understand the finished product. Even when you can't see the end road, you have to understand, you have to have faith, and you have to know that that process is coming. That process you're going through is coming to make the finished product. And also, when you talk about motivation, your dedication has to be to your motivation. Because if you are inspired by something that I say right now, but you're not inspired tomorrow or the next day, then that dedication is messing with your discipline. See, you got to have both. You can say that you're going to do something, but then you have to carry it out. It has to be a plan of execution. It's just like somebody building a building. They have blueprints, right? They know exactly where they're supposed to go, what they're supposed to do. That's the dedication portion. The discipline portion is actually showing up to work and getting the job done no matter what. If it's raining, well, construction workers don't work. You can't be like that. You got to know you got to go somewhere. So regardless, if it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's hailing, you have a job to do. You have to get somewhere. So you have to be a part of your craft. And then in that, when you're building your building as the construction worker, you have to know that it's going to be a tough process. You're going to show up to work. You're going to not want to do anything. You may get into an argument with your kids or your significant other. You may not want to do anything, but you have to see the end goal. You're about to build one of the best buildings that's ever been made. And that's our whole testament in life. We have to see the end goal. It's not about where you start. It's not about the trials and the roadblocks that you incur. It's not about the mistakes you make. It's not about anything but you completing the assignment, because that's what you start with, the assignment. And so you have to continue to press until you complete the assignment. And completing the assignment, there's a process that you're going through. You might be tired. You might not feel good. You might be sick. But at the end, if I continue to go and I continue to have the discipline from the dedication, then I'll get the end product that I was promised. We have to also know will and determination. See, will and determination is very key. Will, a 4-letter word that is so big. You know, the two most powerful words in the English dictionary is will and love. Both 4-letter words. See, the will, that's actually what's pushing you to complete something, to complete the assignment. That's the hunger that you got in you that you won't be denied. And if you love something or if you love someone, you'll see it through. See, with love covers a multitude of sin, which means that it doesn't matter what somebody does to you. It doesn't matter the outcome. It doesn't matter what it looked like. It doesn't matter what you see. You have faith in the individual. You have faith in the thing that you love, and you know your will to push through if you just have enough love in that situation. If you're talking relationships, you're talking whatever. This could be a relationship between you, your mom, and your dad. It could be a relationship between you and your spouse. It could be a relationship between you and your kids or you and your friend. It don't matter. The thing is that if you love somebody, you have the will to finish. You have the will to push through because you know that they would do the same thing for you. Now, if you can't take it or you can't see your love, that's how relationships go sideways. Because even though that person messed up today, you have to love that person to push through. You have to love that person to persevere. You know, I got a cousin named Mark, and we've grown up with each other since we were babies, fighting, arguing, all of that. But I never questioned whether this man loved me or not, and I still don't. Because we can argue today, be mad at each other today, call each other an hour and a half later, and we good. Because you can't make it personal. You have to understand, you got to trust God, and you got to trust the direction of your life. And when you see the direction of your life and where it can go if you step outside of yourself and your emotions, then you have a clear vision of what's going on. The problem is we get sidetracked and we can't see the end product, and we don't even see the love in spite of everything. You are going to argue with people in life. You're going to have some times where you don't get along with somebody. You're going to have some times where you disagree. You're going to have some times where you're not on the right page. You're going to have some times where you wake up and you just don't feel like doing the right thing all the time. But you got to bring love with you, man. And that's very key. That's very critical, man. A lot of people don't see it like that. And you got to know that's what it is.
But you're going to have some ups and you're going to have some downs. Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful.
The human spirit is powerful and powerful beyond measure. And what we mean by that is this. The human spirit can push through anything. Like that guy on the road where he saw the guy come out with the guns and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure at that moment, even though he was scared of the gun, that he thought that he was going to get out of that situation. He didn't think it was going to end right there. And we have to understand that even in that, a person lost their life so quick at a young age. The dude was 24. But we have to be thankful for what could have happened to us and did not happen. So the segment for the day in the motivational section is just being thankful, just being grateful. All right. Thankful is this. Oh, man, I appreciate what you did for me. That's thankful. For understanding being grateful is, oh, man, I know you didn't have to do that, but you still did it in spite of. Thank you. See, being thankful is somebody giving you something. Being grateful has nothing to do with a monetary value or an exchange. Being grateful is just having appreciation for something that person does in your life. And then there's grace. Grace, God's grace is sufficient. And what we got to realize is this, that grace, man, it is better than anything because it's basically God or the people around us not giving us what we deserve. I'm not the best person all the time, but in my professional life, everybody sees, oh man, Coach Shaq, man, you did this, you did that. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, You didn't have grades in high school, so you went to JUCO. You were a JUCO All-American. You went and signed a football scholarship with University of Memphis. You played on ESPN 30-something times. You played on video games 3 times. Your last video game you was on was at 89, man. You had a great career. Man, you've been coaching for 16 years, man. All kids love you, man. You don't put 11 kids in the pros. You don't put 30-something kids in Division One. These guys got better because they were around you. Last one is Will Anderson. Will Anderson's at the University of Alabama. He's setting all type of records, man. He was freshman, SEC freshman of the year, SEC player of the year as a freshman. This dude is definitely going to the NFL. Already got another kid in the NFL still. But everybody sees that part. Nobody sees the other part. The part where the product is not there yet. The part where the process is taking place. So understand, don't ever compare yourself to somebody else. Don't ever praise somebody more than you praise God. And don't ever look at somebody's life and try to parallel the two. It's like this. I've never seen a turtle hang around an eagle, because the eagle flies and the turtle crawls. They're not the same. An eagle flies up high, sees the world, it stalks its prey from the top, and the turtle crawls on the ground, and when prey comes, it balls in the shell. They're two different people. So understand that. Don't ever look at, if you're the turtle, don't ever look at the eagle and say, you know what, you're better than me because you fly. The eagle might be tired and say, hey, man, I appreciate you because you walk. But you don't know nobody's situation. You don't know somebody's story, and you don't know what's going on in their life. So the best thing to do is keep your head down, focus on what you got to do, focus on the alternatives that you have, focus on the ability that you have, and maximize your ability, your talent level, and what you're going to do in this world, and walk through the process. Just a little recap, man. We talked about the family, man, where the guy was killed on the highway. Make sure you still be praying for them, man. We're going to be praying for them on the channel. You know, those two kids, man, they saw that at an early age. I saw my first murder at 8 and 9. They saw their dad get killed at 4 and 1. That's tough. And in the same breath, man, some people already knew that they were going to die. Tupac talked about death all the time. You know, Ricky Vallon talked about dying in the plane all the time. You know, Buddy Holly talked about dying all the time. And then he got confirmation on it. Some people can see that far. Some people can't. But you want to be in a situation where you have your mind right, your life right, so that if something came to you, man, you were already ready to go. You already did everything that you had on this earth. That's why when we start the segment, I say, man, it's a blessing to be here. It's a blessing to be alive. Because in this day and time, everybody got guns. In this day and time, everybody's doing things that are unconventional. Even social media has us thinking that that's the real world and that's how everything works. And that's why people talk to each other any kind of way. And there's no respect, or there's no, forgiveness, because people feel like they can just shut their laptop off or shut their phone off and they don't got to deal with it. It might hurt a little bit, but they don't got to deal with it. The real world's not like that. In the real world, if you have a problem with somebody at the job, you got to get it right. In the real world, if you get mad at somebody, you still got to work with them at that job. So there's no cutting the computer off. There's no sending an emoji and shutting down. So just remember that. Also, remember your dedication and your discipline, they go hand in hand. Your will and your determination, they go hand in hand. Remember, the process and the product, they go hand in hand. So just take those words with you, man. I appreciate y'all. Listen, thank you for listening to me preach today, because I had no idea it was going to go like that. But hopefully y'all liked it, man, and enjoyed it. I just say what's on my heart, man. And that's all I'm doing on this podcast, man. I give you the facts. I give you what I feel like is important news. I give you some motivation. I give you some weight loss. I give you some world news. I give you some sports. And then guess what? Then we go after it. Whatever's in my heart as far as motivation, I give y'all, man. And I hope y'all receive it, man. I appreciate everybody that ride with us, man. Remember, blood's thicker than water. Only in certain cases you need water to live. You learn that in the basics. Better cherish your aces. Aces up, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all are 100. Man, couldn't do it without you, man. We're going to wrap this segment up, man. Remember, go check out us on Meta, man. Coach Shak Bryan on Instagram, Coach Shak Bryan on Twitter. Also, go to the website, man. Tiger Talk with Shaq, okay? TigerTalkWithShaq.me, man. We appreciate y'all, man. Love y'all. Love the support, man. The gang riding. Remember, we just started the YouTube channel. If you just search Tiger Talk with Shaq, man, you can find that too. Man, I appreciate everything, man. Hey, keep riding with the gang, man, because I promise you, man, my heart is in it. I love what I do, man, and I appreciate y'all, man. Salute.